So after leaving the theater, having gone to see Greenland 2, Migration, I'll go ahead and tell you guys that, for the most part, this film was pretty much exactly what I expected it to be. Now, it starts off using flashbacks from the previous film, which I didn't really think necessary, and to add insult to injury, I thought Gerard Butler's voiceover explaining the circumstances that we should have been able to see throughout the setup, I thought not only violated the show don't tell axiom, but also gave away the game, narratively speaking. Despite that fact, I thought the setup for the story was fairly interesting and thought-provoking, scientifically speaking, and I think it provided an adequate narrative excuse for the film's existence holistically. And speaking of the film's narrative quality, this particular journey for the Garrity family was much more perilous than the last. And though I understand that in a sequel you feel the urge as a filmmaker to up the ante, the sequence of events contained in this particular story required you to suspend your disbelief in ways that made me a little uncomfortable. And in that vein, there were lots of characters who were included in this story simply to be killed off in an attempt to raise the stakes for the Garrity family as they travel from the bunker in Greenland to a crater in the south of France in the search of a more sustainable community. Now, I thought the small writing was mostly serviceable here, even though there were a few minor plot points that, let's just say, I would have changed had I been the one who was empowered to write this script. The dialogue was nothing special here, but films like this don't rely on that, so I'm not going to eat the writer's lunch in that regard. I thought the film was a visual spectacle, not unlike what we've come to expect from disaster films in general. This film was fairly predictable, mostly due to its extremely formulaic structure, boasting a runtime that was right in the sweet spot, which, combined with the action and the visuals, made for a fairly smooth watch. The finale of the movie definitely did what finales are meant to do, though I didn't quite understand why the writers chose to end the film in the exact fashion that they did. No spoilers. Now, overall, I'd give this movie a 70%, or a 7.0 out of 10 if you're thinking IMDb score. Essentially a C for a letter grade. What I would say about this film overall is that it's a disaster action thriller dropped into theaters during the first full week of January, and we all know that we don't get to the serious shit until May. But for a January movie about the end of the world, again, I think it does what was intended, if I'm being completely honest. What this will come down to for you is whether or not you liked the first movie. If you did, this movie is going to give you more of the same. And if you didn't, well, then I don't know why you'd be considering going to see this movie in the first place.